How's it going, you all? Welcome to another episode of the SnapRefund podcast. Today we got a great talk here for you guys. My name's Cody Edings, CEO and co-founder of SnapRefund, and I am joined by Anise Taylor, our COO and co-founder. Today I want to introduce you all to someone you might already know who's a very honored guest. In this episode, we're sitting down with Brandon Littles, the global solutions expert at Five Sigma, a seasoned claims leader with nearly 2 decades of experience across carriers, insurtech startups, and digital transformation. Earlier in his career, Brandon built high-performing claims ops at Insure and Amica Mutual Insurance, and now helps insurers, MGAs, and TPAs unlock the power of AI and automation in claims. Everyone, a big round of applause for Brandon Littles. Today we're going to explore how carriers move beyond pilots to truly AI-native claims operations, and why adjusting is a rich frontier for payment innovation, and what it takes for founders and tech providers to make this shift in practice. So first of all, Brandon, thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. I really appreciate you having me here.
It's a pleasure. Well, let's jump right into it. Tell us a bit about your journey and how you landed in insurance and insurtech.
So landing in insurance, I think, is a pretty common journey that I've spoken to other folks. I actually started my journey directly out of college, out of university. I was recruited by Amica. And I actually got exposed to claims. At that time, they had two main career paths in their entry-level leadership. One was going to be in claims. The other one was going to be in SCS or the underwriting department. I read the job titles, and when I saw with being an adjuster, getting a company car, laptop, cell phone, work remote way before that was in vogue. As a 22-year-old college student, I was like, yeah, that's right for me. So basically with the flexibility and all that, I knew I wanted to go into claims. So I did that and had a successful career at Amica, where I held several different positions, from being an adjuster on the field, different leadership roles, being a supervisor, being a manager as well. I was a regional manager in Long Island for a number of years. I really did hone in on not only my adjuster skills, but management skills, and also understanding claims and insurance from more of an executive point of view as well. And then I had the opportunity to then leverage all my experience and actually jump out into the insurtech space. And that's where I connected with Insure. I was the head of claims there for about 5 years, where I had the opportunity to be able to develop a claims team from scratch. So being the head of claims, it was my opportunity to actually build up that operation, to actually work on the commercial auto space that they were in at the time. So did it for about 5 years. After that, I went out, did some consulting for a little bit, and connected with Five Sigma. Five Sigma is interesting because I actually was the one that selected that platform when I was the head of claims at Insure. So it gave me an opportunity to really understand that business from both sides of the aisle, if you will. Being with Five Sigma, it's been an awesome journey, being able to provide tech platforms for, like I said, MGAs, carriers, TPAs as well. And so really happy to be here where I'm at now.
So Brandon, you've seen claims from every angle, be an adjuster, a leader, an advisor, consultant. What was the moment you realized the process really needed to change and AI could help?
What's interesting about that is that I noticed that there needed to be a change early on, way before LLMs were in fashion, being an adjuster. At the time, we're going back 20 years ago now, at the time, green screens were very common for insurance operations across the board. And so even being there and being exposed to technology at that point in time, we saw that there's got to be something better. So before even large language models, before AI came into fashion, I definitely noticed that there's something that had to change. As time went on, you get the iPhone, you get, cloud computing and everything else. And so the insurance industry was still behind. And so we all know, as being professionals, know that there's got to be some kind of way for us to advance in general. I would say that was early on, before I even joined Insure or Five Sigma.
That makes sense. So sitting in the position that you're in, you get to see a lot of use cases, and I imagine a lot of potential solutions that maybe do or don't see the light of day. What's the most powerful AI use case you've seen so far? One that really had an impact and wasn't just fluff.
Yeah, I've got a couple different examples here. With Five Sigma, one of the main examples I saw recently was going to be email triage. As you know, with claims, communication is the number one thing. Communicating with your customers, communicating with claimants, attorneys, etc. Um, we had one customer where emails were it was just too much. We're talking thousands in a queue, etc. Being able to leverage AI to be able to reduce that, being able to triage, be able to automate some of the responses as well, be able to make sure that these emails went to the appropriate claims as well, was one of the really good examples of being able to see how AI tools can be used to make adjusters much more efficient. Another example is we have another customer who starts seeing six-figure savings on a monthly basis by leveraging Clive, our AI tool, to analyze, review recommendations for highly complex claims, and also seeing them reduce litigation costs as well. So those are two really big cases where you start seeing that return on investment relatively immediately once we.
I think that's really amazing, Brandon. I mean, just the fact that you guys have been able to save a partner six figures, by utilizing your solution. You get to see a lot of things and you get to understand more than a lot of other people that are in the insurance business because you're really in the middle of it. What do you see are some of the bottlenecks when it comes to the decisions and the disbursements? And how can AI really bridge that gap and really Five Sigma?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. To be honest with you, the true bottlenecks come with indecision, and so there are reasons for it, right? No one wants to be, especially in our industry, working relatively slow and methodical. No one really wants to be the first one out there that then messes up, right? They want to see another carrier or another company take the lead there, take the risk, right? And once it works, then everyone else wants to jump on board as well. So, when companies do that and they don't adopt the right technology, they're going to be, burdening their claims teams with antiquated operations, antiquated systems. But you got to remember that these claims folks are the same folks that when they go off the clock, they're the ones using the iPhone 17 or whatever iPhone number we're on right now. They're the ones using, AI, ChatGPT at home. These are the ones that are seeing how much technology has advanced when they're going about their lives everywhere else. And then they come back to work and they see these antiquated systems. And it just got to be frustrating to know that there is much better tech out there and that their employer just has decided not to use it.
Yeah, that's such an interesting point too, because it's been a topic as of late, but even more so, I think every year that goes by, we hear about it more and more that there is a big employment gap coming potentially for the insurance sector where a lot of people will be retiring in the next 5 to 10 years, but there's not the same influx of new talent. And with that, I think you're going to see very interesting shift, or at least pressure, where the companies themselves, the carriers, it might be legacy enterprises, just have more people within them who are using these technologies in their day-to-day lives. And what that does to the buying decisions and innovation mindset of these companies, I think is going to be really fascinating in the next few years here. But you said something that I thought was really poignant. You mentioned indecision. So that leads me to a question. If a carrier called you today and said, we want to go AI native, what is your 90-day plan? What would that process actually look like for one of these legacy shops?
I would say the first would be the first 30 days. You have to do proper discovery and alignment. Understanding the why, why are they looking to leverage AI? Is it just a cost savings measure? Is it increasing customer experience? Right, you have to understand what that why is. Also identify their tech stack, identify areas to leverage automation, right? And leverage AI. Those are two different things, right? You can use tools that can do some automation tasks and other tools that can do AI as well. And then obviously AI working hand in hand with automation. And then I would advise where they can go AI native and where they need to have a human in the loop, right? And obviously you want to engage the stakeholders in every step of the process as well. From there, I'll say the second 30 days, you want to kind of go through a configuration and pilot phase, right? You've identified where the tools can be used for. You want to deploy pilot models for automation. You want to measure KPIs, right? Identify areas for improvement and calibration. I would say for the last 90 days, you want to have that proper time to scale, train, and also go live. You're going to go into production. You're going to refine workflows and feedback loops to make sure that the tools are working the way you want them to, right? You want to scale intelligently and operationalize your AI governance as well.
Yeah, I love that. That's really strong, just being able to have a plan in place and those carriers can come to you and really lean in on you as you guide them through those implementation process. But I'm sure there's got to be some skeptics out there, right? So what has been like the biggest misconception that you've seen about AI that you usually have to clear up first when you're talking to these legacy carriers that are potentially thinking about crossing over to the new age?
Yeah, no, that's another great question. It kind of works a little bit in hand with what Cody mentioned earlier with regard to people matriculating out of the industry. I would say the biggest misconception is that, people think that AI is here to take folks' jobs, right? It's a tool, right? Just like the PC was a tool introduced back in the 1980s, right? In which, some companies are actually still using that same tech from back then. Some jobs were made redundant by leveraging new technology, but it allowed for innovation, and those folks had the opportunity to increase their production and thus increase their income for higher paying roles of being able to leverage the technology they had then. Things could be the same case now, right? Folks that leverage AI within their job, understand how to use it properly, are the ones that are going to be having future opportunities. Where folks who don't want to use it, don't want to leverage AI, or organizations don't want to leverage AI, essentially, and unfortunately, they will essentially be made redundant, I think, without being able to leverage these tools properly.
We've had a bunch of guests over the past few episodes actually where we talked about these topics, and it's always interesting to hear how you view these shifts, might take place because everyone has their own little spin or style on what they think the future with an AI enriched ecosystem looks like. So, how can leaders find a way to make AI feel like empowerment instead of replacement for adjusters who I think a lot like agents are the ones that are perceived to be first on the quote unquote chopping block by the advantages that AI can bring?
Yeah, I would go back to what I was saying before, where it's important to understand how to use these tools, right? Those folks that are in those roles where one would feel that AI is there to take their job, if you will, to eat their lunch, if you will. Figure out how to leverage those tools to make it better, right? So that's what I would say is really figure out ways to enhance your workflow, enhance your job, and be able to leverage these tools to do exactly.
Really good point. Brandon, you've been on both sides, right? So you've been at the carrier side. Now you're kind of in the startup side, really building and scaling this company. What separates pilots that scale from pilots that stall?
Yeah. I would say that the main difference between the pilots that scale and the pilots that fail is understanding what the goals are at first, right? Once again, going back to AI, a lot of folks aren't necessarily sure what AI is, what it can do. By being able to properly understand what your goals are and work with that vendor, you work with the company that's bringing these tools to you, be able to understand clearly what are your goals there and seeing if your solution can meet that, help you meet that goal or exceed it, right? And I think the pilots that actually succeed are the ones where you've outlined that, progressed down that path, and actually seeing those results. The ones that stall are the ones where, you don't have time and energy put into it. You kind of think, hey, I just want to get involved in this AI thing. I don't want to miss the boat, but then don't really put effort into making sure that that particular pilot is actually going the way it needs to go. A lot of folks at carriers are busy. They're being pulled in a million different directions, so I get it. I definitely understand it firsthand knowledge. However, if you're going to go down that path, if you're going to make that investment, then it's critical to actually proceed through with it, right? Go 100% with that investment, 100% with that particular project, that pilot, because if you don't, it all rests on you, right? So I would have to say that it's going to be the commitment to actually commit to your goals.
What do you think some of these deals have played out with you as a vendor, and also maybe how you saw some of the vendors try to pitch when you were on the adjusting side? What do you think are the indelible facts that a carrier needs to see to say yes to a long-term partnership to get a vendor out of that pilot stage to a true long-term partner?
Yeah, I think mainly from the carrier side, they need to see those results, right? They don't want to see, vaporware. They don't want to see or being told that their solution can provide them with the stars, moon, and the sky. They want to make sure that you can deliver what you've been selling them. And I've seen that. I've seen that on both sides. Obviously being on the carrier side at first, you always quickly can spot those vendors that are just saying yes to everything. And I know when I'm talking to potential prospects, I always work with them in a consultative approach, right? Understand what their needs are, understand that clearly, and letting them know exactly what our tools can and cannot do, or things that we are working towards as well, and just being upfront and honest. So I think those are the two most important things.
So when you think of the top three ROI metrics, right? When you're talking to the carriers, what are you looking for when proving AI is really of value to executives?
Right, right. The main thing, as it comes down to it, a lot of times it comes down to dollars, right? That's one of the main things. Are you going to see your savings there? The LAE savings, is that there, right? Whether it's going to be from the indemnity side, whether it's going to be understanding if your litigation costs are going down, if your overhead is going down as well. All these things are important to understand, that being able to leverage these new tools is it actually going to have the result that you need. No one wants to be the person that's the one that's actually increasing the cost to an organization and have nothing to show for it. So being able to provide those immediate savings, I think, is one of the critical needs there. I would also say, a lot of times we're looking at cycle times as well as a carrier. You want to make sure that, you've got claims are being paid out as quickly as possible, being settled as quickly as possible as well. You don't want to have things lingering. And then the third thing is going to be increased accuracy with those settlements. Just because settlements are being paid fast doesn't necessarily mean they're being paid accurately. So you don't want to be overpaying claims either. So it's those three different kind of key areas you need to really balance to make sure that these tools are actually working for.
Really well said. Now I'm going to resist the urge to shamelessly plug ClaimSnap and AgentSnap right now, because it touches so directly what we see as impact for what those platforms do on the claim payment automation side, or even going to the premium side for our distributors. So let's have a moment of fun here. We like to end with a lightning round sometimes, and you're a sharp guy, Brandon, so I'm going to give you 3 questions back to back, no wrong answers, and I just want to know, stream of consciousness, what's the first thing that comes to mind? You game?
Sure.
Let's do it.
All
What's
right.
the most underrated claims metric?
Oh, underrated claims metric. It's got to be cycle time.
What's one process you'd retire tomorrow?
Having to read through a 400-page demand package, being able to leverage AI to do that.
And I'll say one word, but maybe just even a phrase that defines the future of claims.
This is going to sound a little cheeky, but I got to say trust. It's trust.
I love it.
No, I mean, at the end of the day, we're using all these tools, doing all we can to increase the efficiency with workflows, et cetera. But at the end of the day, our policyholders are the ones that are looking for us to be able to pay legitimate claims when they come to us with a covered incident. So being able to pay that, it's trust, straight up, at the end of the day.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Sometimes, Brandon, I think that the way we think is so aligned that we might actually be long lost twins.
All right, then, yeah, you're right. You've got my hand. That's the only thing that there we go. I've been looking for it.
I can give you some, I got some to spare if you want. I can donate. Brandon, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for joining. Everyone, thanks for tuning in. This has been another episode of the SnapRefund podcast. Again, my name's Cody Edings. I'm here with Anise Taylor and our honored guest, Brandon Littles. It's been real, and we'll catch you on the next one. Peace.
Thanks a lot.